There's always a moment she never sees coming. The exact point when missing you hits the hardest. At first, she feels confident, even proud, believing that walking away put her in control. She convinces herself your presence was replaceable, that you'd come running back like always. But then, the days stretch, and your absence doesn't fade, it grows louder. Suddenly, the turning point arrives. It's no longer just quiet. It's a weight pressing on her thoughts, a question echoing in her mind. What if he's really gone? In this video, we're going to uncover why that turning point happens, how Stoic discipline keeps you steady, and why it makes her miss you more than she'll ever admit. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below to join the conversation. Now, let's get started. Number 1. The distance she didn't expect. The first real turning point comes when your constant presence fades. She assumed you'd always be there, replying, reacting, showing up on cue. But when that pattern suddenly stops, it rattles her. This isn't about punishing her, it's about discipline. A Stoic man understands that strength isn't in reacting to every impulse, but in mastering his own responses. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that calmness in the face of emotion is true power. That's exactly what you're showing. A steadiness that needs no explanation. Picture this. Yesterday, she posted something online, maybe a subtle hint meant for you. Normally, you'd acknowledge it with a like, a comment, maybe even a quick message. This time, nothing. Hours slip into a day. She tells herself it doesn't matter, but beneath the surface, it unsettles her. The question creeps in. Why isn't he responding? Did I lose the attention I thought was guaranteed? That's the moment the shift begins. What she took for granted is no longer there, and that scarcity changes everything. In her world, most men rush to fill the space, eager to prove themselves. You don't. You choose composure. Epictetus said that freedom lies in self-control, and that's what you embody. You allow the space to exist without trying to ease her doubts. It's in that gap that her emotions rise. She begins to feel your absence, not because you pleaded for her attention, but because you stopped handing it out so freely. This is the turning point. She doesn't just register that you're quiet, she feels your presence in a different way, one that forces her to reflect. What once seemed endless is now rare, and that rarity makes you unforgettable. That's the mark of a Stoic man's restraint. It doesn't plead, it doesn't over-explain. It simply stands firm, leaving her face the truth. Your calm detachment carries more weight than words ever could. Number 2. The echo of routine broken. She feels it most when the routines vanish. The good morning texts, the check-ins, the calls that once gave her comfort gone. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that life is constant change. But this change unsettles her, because she realizes those little things weren't just routine. They were proof of your care. When you stop doing them, it's not about anger or revenge. It's about reclaiming your time and energy. And that's the turning point. She thought the rhythm you created was endless, that you'd always be the one to bridge the silence. But when you no longer do, she feels the weight of absence more than the comfort of presence ever gave her. Let's say you used to call her every night before bed. At first, she cherished it. Later, she expected it. Eventually, she assumed it. But then, one night passes with no call. Then 2. Suddenly, the habit she relied on is gone, and the stillness in its place feels louder than words. Her mind replays the past, your voice, your reassurance, your consistency. She realizes it wasn't just background noise. It was the anchor she leaned on without even noticing. Now, with the anchor lifted, the drift begins, and she misses you not because you remind her, but because you don't. That's where Stoicism enters. Epictetus taught that we don't control others, only ourselves. By stepping back, you're not trying to manipulate her feelings. You're simply living in accordance with what you can control: your choices, your discipline, your presence. And paradoxically, it's when you let go of needing her response that she begins to crave yours. This is the moment when the absence becomes a mirror, when she finally feels the truth of what she once had. Brother, that's the turning point when she misses you most. Not when you chase, not when you explain, but when you quietly remove the pattern she took for granted. It's in that silence, that empty space where routine used to live, that her longing grows stronger than ever. So, let me ask you, have you ever noticed how the smallest routines become the ones that sting the most when they're gone? That's the real power of silence. It's not dramatic, it's subtle, but it lingers in her mind long after. And this is exactly where the turning point begins. If this is hitting home for you, do me a favor. Hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, or simply type, "My silence speaks louder." Now, let's move forward and uncover what happens in the next stage when the absence becomes impossible for her to ignore. Number 3. The curiosity that turns heavy. At first, it seems harmless. She wonders lightly, almost with a smile. What's he doing? Why hasn't he replied yet? It feels like nothing more than passing curiosity, a fleeting thought that will be answered soon enough. But as the hours move on, that curiosity changes. It gains weight. What began as a simple question now grows into a presence she can't ignore. The phone sits in her hand longer. The notifications she receives aren't the ones she's waiting for. And each moment of silence feels stretched beyond measure. What was once playful becomes pressing, and pressing turns into unsettling. This is the turning point, when she starts to feel your absence most deeply. Human beings, by nature, hate uncertainty. The Stoics taught that a wise man accepts it, even welcomes it, because he knows not everything belongs within his control. But she doesn't see it that way. She is used to clarity, to reassurance, to knowing where she stands with you. Your calm detachment, your refusal to scramble for answers or rush to fill every gap, creates a silence that she cannot manage with ease. It leaves her imagination free to roam, and the imagination is rarely kind in times of doubt. She remembers the patterns you once had together. The quick replies, the late-night calls, the certainty that her message would never go unanswered. Those memories rise up in contrast to the present moment, where you are nowhere to be found. And now, she begins to ask herself not just where you are, but what you are doing without her. Has he moved on? Did he find someone else? Or has he simply realized he doesn't need me anymore? Those questions, though unspoken, carry an emotional weight that presses on her more than your words ever could. For you, the silence feels light. It's not punishment. It's not a game. It's simply self-control. You've chosen to direct your energy elsewhere, into your work, your growth, your purpose. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. This moment is a perfect example. While you are at peace in your routine, she is the one suffering under the weight of her own thoughts. That is the power of your detachment. What seems small to you, choosing not to rush, not to respond instantly, becomes massive to her, because it forces her to face the possibility that her place in your life was never as secure as she believed. In this way, the light curiosity of a missed message transforms into the heavy realization of absence. And it's in that shift, in that very silence, that she begins to miss you the most. Number 4. The nighttime reckoning. It's at night that missing you becomes unbearable. During the day, she can still keep herself busy. She works, she chats with friends, she scrolls through her feed, pretending everything is fine. Distractions act like a shield, but when the world grows quiet, When the glow of her screen is the only light in the room, all of that protection fades away. Suddenly, there's nothing left to guard her from the truth your absence has weight. And in that silence, it presses down harder than she expected. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." That's exactly what consumes her. Reality is simple. You've stepped back, you've chosen calm detachment, you're living your life. But her imagination? It runs wild, crafting stories, inventing explanations, asking questions that won't leave her alone. Is he with someone else? Did I lose him for good? Does he even think about me anymore? Each unanswered question becomes a storm in her chest. Picture this for a moment. She's lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, restless, phone clutched in her hand. She scrolls through your old conversations, rereads the goodnight messages you used to send, listens to the voice notes you once left her when she couldn't sleep. Those moments felt ordinary at the time, but now they burn with a different meaning, because now they're gone. The absence of those little gestures, the late-night texts, the comfort of your steady presence becomes deafening in its silence. She might put on music or open an app to distract herself. But even in the noise, she feels the quiet between you. That's when her thoughts shift. What was once curiosity becomes longing. What was once longing becomes anxiety. And what was once routine suddenly feels irreplaceable. Here's the irony. While her nights are restless, yours are steady. A Stoic man doesn't let sleepless emotions rule him. He practices self-mastery, the art of knowing that not every impulse deserves a response. You're not staying silent to punish her. You're choosing stillness to protect your peace. You rest easily because you've embraced what Marcus Aurelius called living according to nature, accepting that not everything is in your control. You control your choices, your presence, your time. She, on the other hand, is realizing just how deeply those choices affect her. This is the turning point when she misses you most, not in the daylight hours, where she can pretend she's fine, but in the solitude of midnight, when her imagination becomes her torment. While you breathe deeply in sleep, unmoved, her mind is awake, replaying everything she thought she understood about you. That's when your silence becomes louder than any argument, when your calm presence, though absent, feels heavier than words. And it's in that reckoning, those lonely hours of night, that she feels the full gravity of losing the man who no longer chases. Number 5. The comparison she can't stop making. She meets new men, she chats with old friends, she scrolls through social media, trying to distract herself, but none of them feel like you. It's not that she doesn't try. She tells herself, maybe this guy will be different. Maybe this one will make me forget. But here's the truth. The calm confidence you carried, the way you didn't need her validation, the steady presence you gave without clinging, those qualities are rare. And when something rare is gone, the absence becomes louder with every attempt to replace it. Epictetus said that value lies in what cannot be easily replaced, and now she's living that lesson in real time. Imagine her on a date with someone new. At first, it feels exciting. The guy is talkative. He compliments her. He leans in with eagerness. But then comes the moment she didn't expect, the pause, the silence between words. That's when she feels the difference. He's anxious, waiting for her reaction, searching for approval in her eyes. You never did that. You were composed, collected, and unshaken by whether she approved or not. And right there, mid-conversation, she can't help but compare. She remembers how your calm made her feel safe, how your stillness made her curious, how your silence carried more weight than most men's speeches. This is the turning point when she misses you most, because her comparisons aren't just casual, they're constant. Every time another man falls short, your presence grows stronger in her memory. She might not say it out loud, but inside, she feels it. You've set a standard she can't lower again. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that what's truly valuable is rare by nature, and that's why it commands respect. Your discipline, your refusal to be ordinary, your quiet self-mastery, all of that becomes a mirror she holds against every man she meets. And each time, the reflection reminds her that you are not easily replaced. And here's where it hits hardest when she least expects it. Maybe she's laughing at a joke someone else tells, but suddenly she notices it doesn't land the same way. Maybe she's walking home after a night out, and instead of feeling fulfilled, she feels a gnawing emptiness. That's when the comparison sharpens. That's when she understands that others might entertain her, but only you left an imprint that still lingers. A Stoic man doesn't compete for attention. He leaves behind a presence so grounded in discipline that it continues to echo long after he's gone. Take a second right now, hit the like button if this is giving you clarity, and drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Or, if you want to keep it simple, just type, "Rare value can't be replaced." That way, I know you're locked in with me, and we can keep building this community together as we step into the next turning point. Number 6. The mirror of her choices. She replays the moment she pulled away and starts questioning her decision. Maybe it was that night when she dismissed your message, thinking she could answer later and you'd still be waiting. Or the day she brushed off your effort to connect, assuming you'd always circle back. At the time, it felt like nothing, just a shrug, a fleeting choice, an easy assumption that you'd always remain within reach. But now, as the days stretch on and your silence replaces the comfort she once took for granted, those small moments grow heavier. They replay in her mind like a movie she can't pause, and suddenly, what seemed harmless now looks like the mistake that opened the door to losing you. This is where the Stoic difference becomes clear. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we must not let our minds be distracted by what has happened in the past or what may happen in the future, but simply to do what lies clearly at hand with justice and love. You, the Stoic, don't chase ghosts. You don't clutch at regret. You take the present as it is, and you act with clarity. When she looks in her mirror, she sees regret staring back at her. When you look in yours, you see a man moving forward, calm, steady, free. That contrast is what makes the sting so sharp for her. Picture this in real life. She's sitting with friends, laughing, scrolling her phone, pretending the silence between you doesn't exist. But then, the smallest trigger, someone mentions your name, or she stumbles across an old photo. Suddenly, the facade cracks. Her smile falters. Her chest tightens, and she feels the echo of her own choices. She can't escape the thought, what if I hadn't pulled away? What if I had treated him differently? The questions flood her mind, not because you reminded her, but because your absence forced her to sit with them. That's the cruel reality of choices they eventually demand to be faced. And here's the irony that gnaws at her most. She thought distancing herself gave her power. She believed you would wait, bend, or chase to close the gap she created. But by doing the opposite, by not chasing, not begging, not clinging, you revealed a deeper strength. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Apply that to relationships, and you see why she misses you most now. Your lack of need is your wealth. You no longer need her validation, her responses, or her attention. And that reality shakes her more than anything else. The mirror of her choices becomes heavier with every passing day. What once was confidence now tastes like doubt. What once was control now feels like loss. And while you continue on your path working on yourself, protecting your peace, living as a man who governs his own time, she is stuck in the reflection of what she gave up. That's the turning point, when her missing you shifts from curiosity to something deeper, more painful, and harder to silence. That's when she realizes, The cost of her choices is far greater than she ever imagined. And as we move forward, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen someone live in the shadow of their own choices? Maybe you've witnessed it in a friend, or even felt it yourself. Regret doesn't shout. It whispers, it lingers, it grows louder in silence. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to hit that like button, drop a comment, sharing your thoughts, or simply type this phrase, "My silence is my strength." Let's continue, because the next turning point reveals when her imagination becomes her greatest enemy. Number 7. The return of respect. Ironically, your distance makes her respect you again. She sees a man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't crumble. A man who governs himself. In Stoicism, self-mastery is the highest form of strength. That strength makes her want back what she once overlooked. And here lies the turning point. Because when you stop proving your worth, when you stop fighting to be understood, you reveal a truth that cuts deeper than any speech. You don't need her approval to remain whole. That calm certainty shifts the balance entirely. Think about the way it plays out. At first, she might have thought your silence was just a phase, a game, or even a sign of weakness. But as days turn into weeks, she realizes you're not coming back with the same eagerness you once had. You're not waiting at her doorstep emotionally, begging to be let in. Instead, you're focused on your health, your work, your peace. She sees photos of you with friends, or maybe she hears through mutual circles that you're thriving, and suddenly the script flips. She no longer sees a man who fell apart without her. She sees a man who stayed steady. That realization stings, because it forces her to ask herself why she ever underestimated you. Epictetus taught that no one can harm you unless you give them power over your mind. By stepping back, you've proven that principle. You've reclaimed your time, your energy, your emotional clarity. And in that act, you've reminded her of something she forgot. Respect isn't born out of chasing, it's born out of restraint. The very boundaries you've drawn, the silence you've chosen, speak louder than all the words you once used to explain yourself. She might have dismissed those qualities before, but now, in their absence, they look rare. Picture her late at night, scrolling through old conversations. Back then, she skimmed over your words, taking them for granted. But now, rereading them, she notices the thoughtfulness she missed, the calm tone that no one else seems able to replicate. She compares the present with the past, and in that comparison, your respect rises. Others might text her non-stop, offering flattery and attention, but none of them carry that same weight. None of them stand rooted in themselves the way you do. Respect isn't demanded, it's felt. And now, your absence has become the mirror that shows her your true value. This is the turning point, when she misses you most. Because missing you isn't just about longing. It's about realizing that her respect for you has returned. She once thought she could have you no matter what. Now, she sees the man who doesn't bend, who doesn't crawl back, who doesn't hand over his dignity. That man is far more attractive than the one who begged. That man is unforgettable. And the irony is, by walking away, you've become the very man she wishes she hadn't pushed away. Number 8. The mystery she can't decode. Every unanswered message becomes a puzzle. She rereads the words she sent, checking for some hidden flaw in her tone or timing. She scrolls back through your old conversations, hunting for hints of change, for anything that could explain why your voice has suddenly fallen silent. Yet the more she searches, the less she finds. That's the paradox. Your silence offers no clues. And in its emptiness, the mystery only grows deeper. This is where the turning point begins. When you were always available, always quick to respond, she never had to wonder. She knew she could summon you with a simple message. But now, that certainty is gone. She sends a text, expecting the familiar ping of your reply. And instead, the minutes stretch into hours. She posts a photo crafted to catch your attention, but you remain still. And in that absence, something shifts. Her control begins to crumble, and her curiosity transforms into longing. A Stoic man thrives in this space. He doesn't need to explain, to justify, or to prove himself. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what you embody when you choose silence. Your calm detachment isn't about punishing her, it's about choosing yourself. You understand that what you can control is your energy, your discipline, your growth. She, however, spirals in confusion because she has lost the easy access she once took for granted. Think of how powerful that shift island yesterday. She could predict your every move. Today, she has no idea what's going on in your world. Her imagination fills the silence with possibilities. Is he with someone else? Has he finally moved on? Does he even think about me at all? Each question stings because no answer arrives. And the truth is, the more she tries to decode your mystery, the more she realizes she misses the certainty you once gave her. This is the moment when missing you grows heavy. Not when you're pleading to be noticed, not when you're chasing for her time, but when your stillness becomes undeniable. That stillness is your strength. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." By no longer craving her attention, you show her something rare, a man at peace with himself. And ironically, it's that peace, that self-governance, that makes her restless. The mystery she can't decode becomes the mirror of her own choices. And in that reflection, she feels the loss more deeply than ever. This is the turning point when she misses you most, because silence doesn't just leave her wondering, it leaves her remembering. Remembering your presence, your steadiness, and the rare calm she now realizes she can't replace. Number 9. The social reminder. When she sees you out with friends, focused on your mission, or simply living well, the sting cuts deeper. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to live a good life." Your peace, your joy, your discipline. It reminds her what she lost without you needing to say a word. And here's the truth. This is the exact turning point when she misses you most, because nothing hits harder than the contrast between what she expected and what reality shows her. She thought your world would pause without her. She imagined you would shrink, that your days would be defined by longing or chasing her shadow. But instead, she's forced to watch you shine brighter, laugh louder, and grow stronger than ever. That image of you, unbothered and thriving, cuts through her defenses more than any conversation could. Picture it for a moment. She opens her phone late at night, scrolling absent-mindedly, and suddenly, there's a photo of you at a dinner with close friends, smiling in a way she hasn't seen in a long time. Or maybe she hears from mutual acquaintances that you've been working on your goals, advancing in your career, or simply enjoying your life with a sense of freedom. In that instant, it isn't just curiosity, it's regret mixed with a deep ache. Because while she tried to move on believing she was the center of your world, she now realizes she was only a part of it, and the man she left behind has become someone even more valuable in her absence. From a Stoic perspective, this is not an act of revenge, but an act of alignment. The Stoics teach us that the only domain we truly govern is ourselves, our actions, our choices, our responses. When you embody that principle and redirect your energy into building, creating, and growing, you naturally send a message without ever needing to raise your voice. I am complete on my own. That's where her longing intensifies, because she sees you living out the exact discipline she underestimated. She begins to compare not only you to other men, but you to the version of herself who believed she had the upper hand. And that comparison burns. What makes this social reminder so powerful is its silence. You don't craft it with intention. You don't post out of spite. And you don't parade your happiness for validation. You live authentically, and life does the talking for you. She can't look at your peace without realizing her absence didn't break you. It refined you. And when that realization settles in, she feels the shift. She doesn't just miss the moments you shared. She misses the access to the man who continues to rise. That's when missing you becomes unbearable, because she knows she's no longer watching the man who once depended on her. She's watching the man she now has to chase. Number 10. The moment of reversal. Here comes the real shift. Pride once gave her power, but now it collides with longing. The roles flip. The man who once chased is calm, distant, focused. And she becomes the one wondering, waiting, hoping. The chase has quietly reversed. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's what makes it so powerful. At first, she may tell herself she's fine, that your silence doesn't matter, that her life is just as full without you. But over time, that pride starts to feel heavy. The truth begins to creep in when she notices you're no longer orbiting around her world. Think about it. For months, maybe even years, she knew she could count on you to be there. A quick text, a late-night call, or even just a like on her post. Your presence gave her comfort, even when she didn't fully appreciate it. But now, that's gone. The energy has shifted. You're no longer the man rearranging his life to win her attention. You're living on your terms, moving forward with clarity and calm. That reversal is like a mirror, forcing her to look at herself and see what she's truly lost. Imagine this in real life. You're at the gym, headphones in, focused on your training. Your phone buzzes, but you don't even look. Later that night, she checks her screen, half expecting a message from you. Nothing. Hours pass. The man who used to respond within minutes is now silent. She tells herself she doesn't care, but her heart beats faster when she sees you posting a photo with friends, smiling, unbothered. She realizes she's no longer at the center of your attention, and suddenly she wishes she was. The irony is that you didn't plan this as a game. A Stoic man doesn't manipulate, he simply stands firm. By choosing calm over chasing, discipline over desperation, you created a reversal that no words could achieve. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Your bravery lies in your refusal to cling, and that freedom unsettles her pride. She begins to miss not only the man you were, but the man you've now become: calm, rare, untouchable. And here's the deeper truth. The reversal isn't about her at all. It's about you reclaiming your center. She feels it, yes, but you live it. That's why this moment is so powerful. The man who once gave all his energy away has pulled it back, and in doing so, he has become the prize. That is the moment of reversal, the turning point where longing overtakes pride, and the chase finally comes back to her. This is the moment I want you to pause and really think about. Have you ever felt that shift yourself the day you stopped chasing and noticed how the energy between you and her changed? It's not about tricks or games. It's about reclaiming your center and watching how the world responds when you stop giving away your power. Reflect on it for a second. When you chose calm over reaction, focus over distraction, what did it do for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. Number 11. The weight of your legacy. In the end, what she misses most is not the words you said, but the way you carried yourself. Calm, grounded, disciplined. That's what makes you unforgettable. Your silence becomes your legacy, and your presence becomes her standard. When emotions settle and days pass, the echoes of conversations fade, but the image of a man who stood firm in his principles remains carved in her memory. That's why this is the turning point when she misses you most, not because of what you did for her, but because of the man you became without her. Let's be real. People forget words quickly. Promises blur. Apologies lose their strength. Even sweet moments lose their shine when they're replayed too often. But the way a man carries himself, his calm under pressure, his refusal to be ruled by impulses that leaves a lasting imprint. Think of it like this. When a storm passes, people rarely recall the noise of the wind. What they remember is the strength of the tree that didn't break. You became that tree. And now, as she looks back, she realizes that your steadiness was rare, something she can't easily find again. Imagine this in real life. Before, you may have been quick to reply, quick to please, quick to react whenever she pulled you in. Now, after distance, your silence speaks differently. She posts something expecting you to rush to notice, but you don't. She sends a message hoping to pull you into her rhythm, but you respond in your own time, on your own terms. That shift unsettles her because it highlights the discipline she overlooked. It's not about ignoring her, it's about mastering yourself. And in that mastery, she sees the man she thought she had on a leash, now moving freely. That is what stings, and that is what she misses. The Stoics knew this truth well. Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves, but our response to them that defines our strength. By stepping back, by refusing to let her behavior dictate yours, you became a man who lives by principle, not by impulse. Seneca wrote that true greatness is revealed in restraint, not in noise. That's why your silence is not emptiness, it's presence. It's a mark of control that sets a new standard, not only for her, but for yourself. This is your legacy. The quiet force of a man who didn't collapse when tested, who chose calm over chaos, who valued his dignity over short-term validation. And now, when she measures other men against you, she finds them lacking. Their neediness, their emotional swings, their lack of discipline, all remind her of what she lost. She doesn't just miss the man she misses, the way you made her feel safe, the way your calm energy stabilized her storms, the way your silence forced her to confront herself. Brother, this is where the turning point happens. The memory of your words may fade, but the impression of your discipline only grows stronger with time. She will miss you, not for the moments you gave her, but for the standard you set. And the hard truth for her is this. Once a man chooses himself, once he carries himself with unshakable calm, he is no longer someone she can replace, no matter how hard she tries. Here's the truth to leave you with. The turning point isn't about her finally understanding you. It's about you finally understanding yourself. When you stop proving and start governing, your silence stops being an empty space and becomes a standard. You choose calm over chaos, direction over distraction, boundaries over begging. That's why the gravity shifts. She feels the loss, but you feel the gain: clarity, focus, and a life built on discipline. Carry that forward. Protect your mornings, train your body and mind, keep your phone face down when you're on your mission, and let your consistency do the talking. You don't need louder words, you need a steadier presence. That's the legacy that lasts. If this message gave you clarity, please like the video. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway, or just type calm over chaos. And when you're ready for the next step, watch the recommended videos on screen now.